Gold-draped palaces, fighter jet escorts, and trillion-dollar deals. Welcome to the most extraordinary diplomatic spectacle of our time. When Donald Trump landed in the Arab Gulf, he wasn't treated like a president. He was welcomed as royalty. Today, we'll take you behind closed doors of the most extravagant presidential tour in modern history. Fighter jets cutting through desert skies, lavender carpets rolled out, and deals so massive they're reshaping the global economy. By the end of this video, you'll witness how a single diplomatic tour secured a staggering $3.2 trillion in commitments, more than the GDP of most countries. The final revelation about this royal treatment will leave you stunned. Welcome to Billionaire Xclusives, where we bring you the untold stories of power, wealth, and global influence. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now, because we're about to reveal how Trump transformed from president to king and how this historic tour changed the world's financial landscape forever. The royal arrival in Saudi Arabia. On May 13, 2025, the blazing Riyadh sun cast golden light across King Khalid International Airport as Air Force One descended from the cloudless sky. What unfolded wasn't merely a diplomatic welcome. It was a coronation. 4 Royal Saudi F-15 fighter jets sliced through the azure sky in perfect formation, flanking the presidential aircraft like modern-day royal guards. As the plane touched down, cameras captured an unexpected sight. Stretching across the tarmac was not the traditional red carpet, but a regal lavender pathway, Saudi Arabia's highest honor, reserved only for those considered family. The lavender represents our desert wildflowers, a Saudi official explained. It symbolizes strength, generosity, and our cultural heritage. This wasn't just a welcoming mat. It was a declaration to the world that Trump stood above all other foreign dignitaries. Waiting at the carpet's end stood Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself, holding a golden dalla pot of steaming Arabic coffee, a gesture typically reserved for honored family members. The two leaders embraced like old friends while royal guards stood at attention, their ceremonial swords gleaming in the desert light. "Welcome to your second home," MBS said, loud enough for nearby microphones to catch. Trump's response was equally warm. "The honor is mine. We have big things ahead." The presidential motorcade, a fleet of gleaming black Bentleys, glided through Riyadh's wide boulevards toward Al Yamama Palace. Marble domes caught the sunlight while inside. Crystal chandeliers larger than most apartments cast prismatic light across floors of Italian marble. In the grand reception hall, under 20-foot ceilings adorned with hand-painted Islamic geometric patterns, the two leaders sat opposite each other in gold-trimmed chairs. Between them lay leather-bound documents that would soon become the framework for a $600 billion deal, the first installment of what would eventually total $3.2 trillion in commitments across 3 Gulf nations. This wasn't just diplomacy. This was the forging of an alliance through unprecedented luxury, wealth, and mutual admiration. The $600 billion Saudi deal. Inside Al Yamama Palace's grand negotiation chamber, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Seated at an oval table carved from a single 300-year-old olive tree, Trump and MBS prepared to sign what would become the largest defense contract in American history. "This agreement represents a new chapter between our nations," announced MBS as cameras flashed. With a swift motion, both leaders signed documents finalizing a staggering $142 billion defense package, advanced F-35 fighter jets, missile defense systems, and naval vessels from industry giants Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing. But the military hardware formed only the foundation. Saudi Aramco, the world's most valuable company, committed $50 billion toward American energy infrastructure, partnering with ExxonMobil and Chevron for projects spanning Texas to Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, the Saudi Public Investment Fund pledged another $100 billion toward U.S. technology and infrastructure projects. "We believe in America's future," declared Yasir Al-Rumayyan, governor of the Saudi Wealth Fund, his voice echoing through the marble hall. "These investments will create nearly 2 million American jobs." The most forward-looking component emerged when Datavolt, Saudi Arabia's emerging tech giant, announced a $20 billion investment in American AI data centers, a clear signal of the kingdom's ambition to dominate the global artificial intelligence race. Tech titans seated along the chamber's perimeter nodded approvingly. Google, Oracle, Salesforce, AMD, and Uber had already formed partnerships with Datavolt, collectively pledging an additional $80 billion toward next-generation technology projects spanning both nations. As cameras captured the signing of the final document, Trump's characteristic smile broadened. "We've just made history," he declared, turning to MBS, "and this is just the beginning." That evening, beneath crystal chandeliers in the Al Rajhi Grand Hall, Trump received Saudi Arabia's highest civilian honor, the Abdulaziz Al Saud Medal, traditionally reserved for royalty. As the gold medallion was placed around his neck, Trump wasn't just a visiting president. He had been elevated to the status of king in all but name. And this was merely the first stop on an unprecedented Gulf tour. Qatar's red carpet, welcome, and $400 million gift. Air Force One touched down in Doha on May 14, 2025, where an even more astonishing reception awaited. Breaking decades of protocol, Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani personally stood on the tarmac, a gesture typically reserved for fellow monarchs, not visiting heads of state. "This is unprecedented," whispered a CNN correspondent into her microphone. The Emir himself waiting on the runway. As Trump descended the aircraft stairs, cameras captured the unusual motorcade lined up on the gleaming tarmac. Two brilliant red Tesla Cybertrucks, their angular bodies adorned with gold-plated Qatari emblems, flanking a matching red Audi. This wasn't just transportation, it was a calculated nod to Elon Musk, Trump's close advisor who stood nearby, nodding approvingly. "We love innovation," the Emir told Trump as they walked toward the vehicles. "These represent the future we're building together." The motorcade proceeded directly to the majestic Amiri Diwan Palace, where cavalry troops mounted on camels and Arabian horses stood at attention. "We love those camels," Trump exclaimed, visibly delighted. "I haven't seen camels like that in a long time." Inside the palace's golden reception hall, beneath intricately carved wooden ceilings, the real business began. In a ceremony broadcast live across the Middle East, Qatar Airways CEO Akbar Al-Baker signed a contract to purchase 160 Boeing aircraft, 37 77X and 137 87 Dreamliners, with a total value of $96 billion. 150,000 American jobs, Trump announced, turning to Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg. "That's a record, Kelly. Congratulations to Boeing." But the most controversial moment came when the Emir unveiled his personal gift, a custom-designed $400 million Boeing 747 converted to presidential specifications. "Only a fool would refuse such an expensive plane," Trump joked, accepting the gift as flashbulbs popped around them. The gift immediately ignited debate back in Washington, with critics citing the Constitution's emoluments clause, which prohibits presidents from accepting gifts from foreign states without congressional approval. Meanwhile, in Doha, the celebration continued under Qatar's sparkling skyline, with each moment reinforcing Trump's royal treatment. UAE's $1.4 trillion mega-commitment. May 15, 2025 marked the final stop on Trump's royal tour as Air Force One glided toward Abu Dhabi International Airport. 6 UAE Mirage 2009 fighter jets formed a perfect diamond formation around the presidential aircraft, a stunning aerial ballet against the deep blue Gulf sky. Standing tall on the tarmac, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the visionary who transformed the UAE from desert kingdom to global technology hub, awaited in his immaculate white kandura. Unlike other leaders who merely shook hands, Sheikh Mohammed embraced Trump with the warmth reserved for family. "Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the city is beautiful," Trump exclaimed, visibly impressed by the futuristic skyline. A mesmerizing cultural welcome unfolded before the diplomatic entourage. Dozens of women in flowing white gowns performed the traditional Al-Ayala dance, their long black hair moving in precise rhythm as male dancers swung ceremonial swords in perfect unison. This UNESCO-recognized heritage display, rarely performed for foreign dignitaries, signaled the exceptional nature of Trump's visit. The ceremonial activities, however, merely set the stage for what would become the largest economic announcement of the entire tour. Inside the magnificent Qasr Al Watan Palace, with its 40-foot domes and marble corridors, Sheikh Mohammed revealed the UAE's commitment, a staggering $1.4 trillion investment in the United States over the next decade. The centerpiece, the $500 billion Stargate project, a massive AI infrastructure initiative partnering the UAE's MGX fund with SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and Elon Musk's xAI. Why can't we sell chips to an ally that can buy F-35s? Trump challenged, directly addressing US restrictions on AI chip exports to the Middle East. This partnership will make both our nations technology leaders. The UAE also allocated $60 billion for liquefied natural gas production in Texas and signed a $14.5 billion aviation deal with Boeing for 28 new aircraft. As night fell across Abu Dhabi's glittering skyline, the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, lit up with alternating American and Emirati flags, a kilometer-high testament to this unprecedented alliance of wealth and power. The strategic transformation, $3.2 trillion impact. Beyond the gleaming motorcades and gold-adorned palaces, Trump's Gulf tour fundamentally reshaped global economic power structures. The combined commitments, $600 billion from Saudi Arabia, $243 billion from Qatar, and $1.4 trillion from the UAE, created an unprecedented $3.2 trillion alliance that would redirect the flow of global capital for decades. This isn't just about money, explained finance analyst Morgan Chen. It's a historic transfer of wealth from east to west. For decades, China had been the primary destination for Gulf investment. Now, these massive commitments signaled a seismic shift, with American technology, energy, and defense sectors becoming the new focus. Wall Street responded immediately. The Dow Jones surged 870 points the day after the UAE announcement. The most revolutionary aspect was how Trump transformed America's Middle East approach. Rather than expanding military presence, he leveraged economic partnerships, creating defense contracts that protected American interests while generating hundreds of thousands of jobs. Previous administrations deployed troops, Trump deployed capital, observed former Ambassador Richard Haas. It's diplomacy through prosperity. The technological impact proved equally transformative. Gulf leaders had spent decades preparing for a post-oil economy. Now they found willing partners in America's tech giants. New AI research centers would rise across both regions, with American companies gaining access to Gulf funding, while Gulf nations accessed cutting-edge technology. Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi are positioning themselves as the Silicon Valleys of the Middle East, noted tech journalist Kara Swisher. These aren't just vanity projects. They're calculated moves to dominate the next technological revolution. Climate technology formed another cornerstone, with $112 billion allocated to green hydrogen production, carbon capture facilities, and next-generation solar farms spanning both American and Gulf territories. As global media struggled to comprehend the scale of these commitments, economic historians already recognize the significance. This wasn't merely a diplomatic tour. It was the formation of the largest economic alliance in modern history, with Trump as its architect and the Gulf rulers as its financiers. The symbolic farewell and global implications. The most revealing moment of Trump's royal tour came not during the signing of trillion-dollar deals, but in a brief, unscripted exchange at Riyadh International Airport. As Trump prepared to board Air Force One for his return to America, he turned at the top of the stairs, raising his right fist in a gesture of triumph toward Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. In response, MBS placed his right hand over his heart, a profound gesture in Arab culture signifying deep respect and personal connection. The wordless exchange, broadcast globally, communicated more than any formal agreement. This wasn't merely diplomacy, it was alliance forged through mutual respect and shared vision. The Gulf's $3.2 trillion commitment represented more than economic partnership. It signaled a fundamental reshaping of global power structures, redirecting capital from China to America, transforming oil kingdoms into technology hubs, and cementing Trump's legacy as a president who achieved through economic diplomacy what military might could not. As the lavender carpet was ceremonially rolled away, one question remained. Was this extraordinary display of wealth and power the beginning of a new global order, or simply an extravagant diplomatic performance? What do you think about Trump's $3.2 trillion Gulf alliance? Drop your thoughts below. If you want more exclusive insights into power, wealth, and global influence, hit that subscribe button and notification bell now. Join Billionaire Xclusives for unprecedented access to the world's most powerful figures and their extraordinary dealings.